Welcome everyone to the Microcap Conference, hosted by Deal Flow Events. We're really happy you're all here. We're going to kick off the morning with Sean Callagy. He is the Chief Visionary Officer and co-founder of Unblinded. He's founder and president of his 100-plus person law firm, Callagy Law. When he was only 6 months out of law school in his 20s, while going blind, he quit his job at a prestigious law firm, and within 2 years, he built his first 40-person law firm, which he sold 3.5 years later for a multiple seven-figure exit as the only equity partner. Sean is one of only 2 attorneys out of 1.2 million in America to achieve 2 top 100 national jury verdicts between 2014 and 2016, and the only one who is blind. He has also collected more than $500 million on behalf of his healthcare clients. As an international speaker, Sean has broken sales records on the largest personal development stages in the world and speaks for Fortune 500 companies like T-Mobile, Disney, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Salesforce, as well as for the national news networks and legal associations, and raised over $10 million for charity on stage in a single year. Sean is also founder of his own charitable foundation, the Callagy Christian Foundation, which is funded up front with a personal donation of over 7 figures. While creating his professional successes, he coached and attended virtually all of his 3 children's more than 1,000 sporting events and activities over the past 15 years. He's a blind warrior and adventurer, skiing, surfing, scuba diving in the most extreme conditions. His mission is to serve professionals and entrepreneurs to see what they do not see about expanding their financial abundance, time, freedom, and magic. Please welcome Sean Callagy to the stage.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good morning, good morning. Einstein warned, make it as simple as possible, but not simpler. More, modeling, math with heart and smarts. 27 years ago, when I was in the process of going blind, and I will bump into some chairs and things, I have a little bit of peripheral vision of an eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, but I realized that there had to be some common denominators to make Einstein's principles come alive. And what I'm incredibly confident of, and you could test my logic, my math, my smarts, is that what brings you to this room in Atlantic City is one common denominator word. It's the first one I said, which is more. You would not be here at 8:30 in the morning. You would not be here in Atlantic City. You would not be here at Deal Flow if there wasn't some more that you wanted. So this principle of how do you distill things to their lowest common denominators, yes, everybody here wants more. And before we continue, I just want to thank Deal Flow. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Charlie Napolitano. I want to thank Andrea Catania for the honor and privilege of being here with all of you, and for you guys being in the room as you enjoy your breakfast today. My desire is not to speak. My desire is to add value to your life and your world in these few minutes that we have together. Otherwise, why would we be here? Because you guys want more. And so if you begin to think about categorizing that more in the next 28 minutes or so that we have together, how would you categorize it? How would you simplify it? Because I think a lot of the principles that incredibly brilliant, intelligent people like yourselves, people that are looking for capital, bankers, attorneys, finance people, accountants, folks that have companies that they're looking to bring forward in the world, these are smart people. Some very nice things were said about me in the introduction, which I'm very grateful for, but I also failed freshman high school geometry, so maybe I have no privilege to be speaking about math. I ate lunch in my car in my sophomore year of college by myself for most of my second semester, and I ran for class president in 7th grade, and I received 2 votes, and I'm not kidding. So I wasn't born genetically gifted as a speaker. I wasn't born with a uniquely high IQ. I wasn't born with genetic advantages. I'm blind. 75% of the people who are like me are unemployed and don't even begin the conversation of what home ownership looks like for blind people. So what's my point and why am I here? I'm here because I want more. Deal Flow wants more. Andrew Catania wants more. Charlie Napolitano wants more. And every single one of you want more. And whether that's the reason you joined the Little League baseball team, the choir, the chorus, the math club, the debate club, went to law school, went to undergrad, are here, whatever, it's because we do want those more things, and we're going to distill them down in a moment, right? But I had the privilege of working really hard at principles we're talking about here today, and I was accepted at Columbia University, not because of my incredible academics in high school. I was a good student, not a great student, but because I was a great baseball player. And what I discovered going to an Ivy League university, and I did make the dean's list in my junior year, finally, made my parents very happy to have an Ivy League dean's list child, like they put that as a badge of honor. I never went to class, though, and I wrote political science papers, so it wasn't quite that meaningful. And what happened, though, from there was I realized how utterly ineffective our base institutions of learning are in America and really around the world. Columbia prides itself on having a core curriculum. We read Plato, Homer, Aristotle, Nietzsche, Machiavelli, these brilliant thinkers, and we're taught to challenge assumptions and to think. And I came out of Columbia prepared to do literally nothing in the world, and I worked for 1 year at a bank on Park Avenue, and I still don't know what my job was as a trust and estate administrator on 48th and Park for Bankers Trust in 1992, and I don't even know what that has merged into at this point, but I do owe them the $26,000 salary I was paid for doing nothing except eating yogurt-covered peanuts in the incredible commissary that was on the 8th floor of Bankers Trust. From there, I went to law school. I took tax and got an A+. I took business law and got an A+ in law school, and I literally came out of undergrad having no concept of what business was. I didn't even understand that law was actually a business. So what does this have to do with you and the more that you're seeking? Well, with great humility, I think brilliant people do really odd things. So the second principle I mentioned was modeling, but model what for what? And first, we have to talk about what's the more that you want. And the more that I believe that most people here want falls into the first and second category, and maybe some third. But the first category is people want to generate more income, more revenue, more net worth, more money, more financial abundance. So that's one category of more that people seek and desire. And at Deal Flow, I'm hallucinating that's at least part of the reason that some of you are here. The second more that people want is they want more time freedom. How can we create more deal flow in less time? How could I create a law firm, an accounting firm, a venture capital firm, investment banking? How could I sell more of my product or service that I'm raising capital for in this room, in this space, and do it with less time invested? How can I duplicate? How can I scale? How can more happen in less time? Now, once people check those boxes, though, and they have the more financial abundance they're seeking, and for some people, by the way, that's a blanket, a sleeping bag, and a dog living in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And for some people, if you go to the Monaco Yacht Club, that's a 350-foot yacht, not a 275-foot yacht. Everybody has their base of the money they seek and desire. But once that box is checked, then time. Did you hear, by the way, did you hear the eating stop? You don't have to stop eating, but the sound stopped. And the reason is because there's a mechanism of gaining connection and rapport with people. There's a science to it. And that'll be the final thing we talk about today. How do you open the listening of people? How do you cause human beings in the crowded world of messaging that exists to hear yours? Because isn't that what we're here to do? Whether you have capital, whether you're here to help with transactions, whether you yourself are literally seeking to build your business, your message has to get to people, and they have to say one word to you, and that word is yes. More on that later. So far we're in the money category. The category of more, and money is the first piece, time is the second piece. The third piece that people want once they have the money and time is people begin to focus on magic. And if people are here with capital, that may be one of the reasons. It's more for fun, adventure, positive impact in the world, bringing something forward. For other people, that magic may be having that time freedom to go to their kids' games in a new level of financial abundance. Maybe it's curing cancer, saving people from sex trafficking, but it's something more that you want that isn't represented by money and time. So I'm 100% certain, even for my most intelligent, brilliant, mismatching friends that may have gone to Harvard Law School that might be in the room, that if you analyze and challenge what was just said, in Einstein's principles, we've solved the first category of more. That everybody in this room is here because you want either more money, you want it in less time, or you want it with more magic, more philanthropic impact, more pride, more notoriety, something. And for others, you might say, no. I'm here because my boss made me. Well, you're here for more. You're here because you want to please your boss. That's magic, pleasing your boss, and it may relate to your time and money. So once we have this said, just take a breath for a second and become present to what's the more you actually came for. In what priority order? Is it more time, freedom, and scaling? Are you looking to create enough business for your firm or your company that you can work less and leverage it off to other people on your team? Is it that you're like, hey, listen, I need to create some deals right now because, yes, I make $1 million a year, but I spend $1.1 million. Or maybe it's I make $150,000 a year and I want to make $1 million, or maybe make $5 million, and I'm satiated and satisfied. And what I really want to do is I want to meet incredible people that could take my company from a value of $100 million to $1 billion. Whatever that is, the common denominator that unites everybody here at DealFlow, and quite frankly, in any room you'll ever be in your life, is that people are there for more, whether it's a boardroom, the movies, or simply taking a walk in the park, right? So, wonderful. Now what? So we've analyzed this principle. What's the value of it, though? How do you actualize it? Who cares about what I just said? Well, the relevance moves into the second of the 3 M's. The second M is modeling. And what modeling is about is that people have solved for the challenges that we want to solve for. Disney, Amazon, Google, Facebook, these folks solved for a principle of modeling. They're far away. They're distant. But it is pretty cool if you break down these stories. You think of Bill Gates, ecosystem merging, a term we'll come back to, with some dude smoking weed in his garage, and the folks at IBM to create one of the most powerful empires in human history. When you think of Warren Buffett, a dude that eats McDonald's, becoming what he is with a foundational principle simply of don't lose money, how does that happen? Walt Disney had 7 failed partnerships before he had the ultimate breakthrough of his life. We know it, right? We know it, right? What was that Walt Disney breakthrough? What was the character he created after 7 failed partnerships by the age of 26 years old? You guys know the name? Oswald the Rabbit. It wasn't Mickey Mouse. And he creates Oswald the Rabbit. He raises some capital. He's ready to roll. And guess what? His business partners steal it. He loses the IP, and he is destroyed. And in his utter sadness and horror, then he creates the mouse. But of course, it doesn't just roll from there, because 20 years later, Walt Disney was almost bankrupt. Walt Disney would never even see Disney World open, but Walt Disney understood the exact same principles that Amazon did and Jeff Bezos. When people said he was nuts and out of his mind because he thought he was going to replace bookstores, but then the dude replaced malls. How does all that happen, and is that too far away? And what does that have to do with my life other than me standing up here and pontificating, and your life? Well, here's what actually happens. The final piece, after we understand this modeling part at a deeper level, which we'll come back to in a moment, is the fact that it's math. And it's math with heart and smarts. And the value we're going to create in the next 15 minutes is going to be some takeaway value so you can actually create more that you're seeking at this conference. And that seems like a potentially meaningful magic trick because a lot of you guys, and I couldn't know exactly what any of you want, but it doesn't matter because we've simplified, as Einstein said, into these categories and principles. So let's keep driving. What does this have to do with me and my life? Well, I was 27 years old. I went to law school after leaving that job at Bankers Trust, and I began to study principles that I had no idea about. Because when I discovered that law was a business, I was making $62,000 in 1997, and I had just enough money to pay for my apartment, some pizza and grape soda on Fridays, and maybe a movie on Saturday, and then I was completely out of money and done. And I looked at people who were in their 5th year and 10th year at my law firm, which at the time was one of New Jersey's most prestigious, still is, and I didn't see people who had a life and a future that I wanted. I thought I had made it when I got the job, but then I realized a very unfortunate modeling reality. And the modeling reality is that the people who generate business, those are the people who are free. Nobody taught me that at law school. Nobody ever mentioned that at Columbia in my macro and microeconomics courses. So I decided at that point that I was either going to go blind and be broke because I was in a race against time, or I was going to figure this out. And I had literally a life decision between, will I go and coach high school football and baseball? I was a 3-sport athlete, Division I at Columbia. I was captain my senior year of the baseball team. I had hoped to play professional baseball. My eye condition took that away. So I asked myself the question, am I going to learn something entirely new, and can I learn it? I understood learning baseball. I understood load, right? I understood load, hit, follow through, how to hit home runs and be 178 pounds. I understood that. But I was like, can you do that in business? Does it literally work the same way that you can change the trajectory of efficiency? Because here's an interesting thought. Tell me what you think of this. Isn't it true that if however many people are in this room, out of however many people at this 1,000-person beautiful conference that are registered, someone here is going to literally have the most successful conference? And if you compare it with what they wanted, what you wanted in coming, versus what's actually achieved, there will be a number one person in their success at this conference. And if there's 1,000 people here, there will be a number 1,000. There'll be a number 498, a number 797, a number 27, if God or the super artificial intelligence machinery could literally assess it perfectly. Like, there is truth to that. It would be really hard to quantify and calculate, but there's an inherent truth and reality to that. And the way that we as human beings walk the world, I believe, is we think it doesn't work that way. We think business is networking and luck and trading time and energy for hours. But what if the greatest flaw in our educational system, in a capitalist structure, even if you're the number one business professor at a top 25 business school like Chris Young, who works with me, and then became the 2-time professor of the year and 4x'd his business in 2.5 years by executing the principles we're talking about? Because what if, even if we're brilliant and incredible and schooled and experienced, even if we're Bill Gates, what if he was standing here and couldn't actually deliver the model of how to be Bill Gates in the Einstein, make it as simple as possible, but not simpler formula? And what if Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, what if they stood up, or Oprah Winfrey, and said, work hard, love people, care about people, be a good person, all the cliches of speaking? Wouldn't that be too simple? I believe it would be. So the mechanism in these final 10 minutes is to give you that formula, to give you that truth so it's actualizable. Because I could tell you this, I don't want to be in Atlantic City to hear myself talk. I am not a motivational, inspirational speaker. I'm an actualizer. I'm a thought challenger to bring about tangible results at incredibly different rates of acceleration that are consistent with what you want. We're not here to say, I'm certainly not here to tell you should want to make more money. No way. I'm not here to tell you that greed is good like Gordon Gekko. I don't believe that at all. What I believe is good is you living on your why, your mission, vision, purpose at the most accelerated rate possible to make the most intelligent, fun, magical, heart-centered decisions. And what if that was actually true? So, 1997, I'm going blind, I'm being broke, I start studying principles of people. I start going into Walden Books. Remember when there's bookstores and that was like a real thing? And I'm going to these bookstores and there's walls and walls of books. And in fact, if you Google right now how to make more money in less time with more magic, if you Google that right now, you will get 93 million, depending upon if you're on a desktop or your phone, something like 93,100,000 search results. How to make more money in less time with more magic and integrity. 93,100,000 search results. That's a lot more than the 2,000 books I was looking at in the bookstore. But either way, I was like, how does somebody not write the book of how to make like $1 million a year, work 10 hours a week, and spend time with your kids? Like, where can I buy that book? And every one of those books I bought didn't deliver, no matter whose book I bought. Said, you know what? I'm going to figure out if all these people teaching this stuff, whether it's Peter Drucker saying business is nothing more than marketing and innovation, known as the world's greatest management consultant, Tony Robbins, Unlimited Power, We Can Giant Within, Dale Carnegie, writing How to Win Friends and Influence People, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich and Laws of Success, Jerry Spence, How to Argue and Win Every Time, Robert Anthony, How to Make a Fortune from Public Speaking, Jay Abraham, Success Secrets of Marketing Genius. Are these people lying and ripping people off, or does this actually work? And here's the truth. In all of them, there was parts of truth. There was really valuable stuff, but it still wasn't holistic and diagnostically complete. Imagine if you went to the doctor for a checkup on how you do business, how you bring about your money, time, and magic, and the doctor told you, right, for your overall health, the equivalent of money, time, and magic in your business and your life, and your doctor said, I'm going to examine your left pinky toe. And the other doctor said, I'm going to examine your ankle. The other doctor said, I'm going to examine your liver. The other doctor said, I'm going to examine your pancreas. The other doctor said, I'm going to examine your heart. Somebody else your brain. Somebody else your spine. All of these different people that you had to go see to get a holistically complete evaluation of your health, that would be really crazy. And you'd be really frustrated. That's how I began to see the world of business and human acceleration. So I set out on a mission to prove this stuff worked. And my credibility story is that I had no money. I was $100,000 in debt. I quit my job. I had no work. I had literally no people in the business world that I could relate to. And somehow, in under 2 years, I built a 40-person law firm with all employees, no equity partners, because I was generating millions of dollars in business a year. And I had no right to do it. I had no credibility in any area. So there has to be a way, because I'm not that smart. I'm not that talented. I'm not that uniquely gifted at all. And by the way, I'm sure there's people in this room who have a higher net worth than I do, meaningfully. But the issue isn't how much money do you make. The issue is how you affect your life's mission, vision, purpose, your money, time, and magic, what you actually want in the world, and how do you bring it forward. In that bio, that's no exaggeration, I missed 9 of my children's games. I'm not judging anybody who doesn't. I have a 24-year-old, 22-year-old, 20-year-old. My son is the #1 student at Seton Hall Law School right now. He is not the smartest. He did not get the highest LSAT score. He's in second year, 3 semesters in. He is #1, not #2, #1, because of this formula and work. He had a 3.7 GPA in high school. He's a 4.1 GPA in law school. Because of this work we're talking about, because there's a way and a mechanism to do this. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. I wouldn't do the same thing. I've already missed more of her activities than I did for my 3 older children, because I've reassessed what my life is about. So none of this is about judgment of what you should want and do. It's about intentionality, about choosing intentionally how you go about things. And remember I said a little bit ago, the silly, odd things that people do, the weird things that people do. And I'm going to tell you the first weird thing I think people do is randomly network. It, to me, is a fascinatingly suboptimal dynamic of like, why would we randomly network? Imagine if you want to make more money, would you start randomly digging oil wells somewhere and hope you strike oil? So random networking is, of course, random, which is mathematically inefficient. It's incredibly linear, one situation at a time, and it's arduous. You put in a ton more work than you receive benefit. The power of ecosystem merging, which is going to be a modeling principle to leave you with today, the power of ecosystem merging is completely different. It's intentional, it's exponential, and it moves from arduous, where you put in a lot more effort to get a little return, instead, where you're creating a lot less effort for a very large return, which is abundance, like Microsoft and Google, and how I built my first law firm. By the way, I built a second law firm. I went from 0 to 100 people in 2 years. And that 0 to 100 was by generating business. I work with and have a partnership in a financial company. We had a webinar last night. Our financial company webinar created 166 sales meetings for the company. And the principal of that company, my partner, when I met him, he had 8 sales meetings per month. He did well. He made $500,000 a year. He had 8 sales meetings. He was a financial services and life insurance guy who was considered to be successful. He's a top 1%er. And in 2 years, we went from 8 sales meetings a month to 2,000. We're from a team of 3 to a team of 25. And it isn't because of a unique level of intelligence. It's because when we do something called ecosystem merge, when we create a platform leverage together, things change. So my first takeaway principle for today, my recommendation, is what if, in addition to absolutely doing business now, whatever you came here for, don't change that, but what if you begin to think about how do you build a platform with other people? Last Tuesday night, with the Bonefish Grill in Paramus, New Jersey, with about 10 people from our team, and up walks a guy, Dr. Mark Cadden, who I hadn't seen since pre-COVID. And he walked up and he said all these beautiful things at the table, in gratitude to our work together. But what he said most specifically is, when I met Sean, I was working with 20 medical practices in marketing. He's a marketer for medical practices. He said, now I'm working with 120 medical practices. And all he did was build a platform. And that platform, he used to randomly network. He'd go to every event. He'd be the guy in the room handing out business cards, meeting every single person. But once he shifted, and he was not a great speaker, he was afraid to death to speak, just like the guy in the insurance I told you about a minute ago, but he began to build a platform. So my first question for you is, what's your platform? How are you creating exponential leverage, whether you have a product or service to sell in a business you're raising capital for here, a law firm, an accounting firm, investment banking? What's your platform? And just a hint, what everybody wants to learn and know about is how to make things go faster, how to make it grow more, how to build more. We recovered $600 million now, and we've got a company launching. It's going to collect $1 billion next 3 years from medical providers, a new system that was created by Medicare. We're number 1 in the country, the law firm. We have 6,000 cases in it right now. And that was created under these same principles, these exact same principles of platform building to go exponential and nonlinear. Now, when we talk about this, here's an issue. When I tell my daughter, who's 2.5, I say, hey, you know what? What if, honey, at swim lessons, you put your head in the water? She says no. And the reason she says no is because it's new, it's different, and it's scary. And the reason she said no when she was going to first start walking upstairs instead of crawling up the stairs is because it was difficult and scary. And when my stepfather told me to take the training wheels off my bicycle in Overpeck Park in Richfield Park, New Jersey, when I was 6, and I fell off the bike for the 11th time, I literally picked it up, threw it off the fence, it hit me in the face, and my nose bled. That really happened. And it's the exact same reason why 99% of people in the rooms that I speak in for a short period of time, like today's half an hour, will literally do nothing with what I say. And I'm not offended, and I don't judge. But I am here to tell you the truth, that you can. And whether you're 75 or 17, you can. And it makes incredible sense. And the final takeaway for today is that modeling piece, that math, heart, more, is integrous influence versus influence. Influence is about pitching, hooking, and closing. Like, who wants to pitch? Like, if you're like, yeah, I'm excited to pitch, who's really, is that word vibrate? Do you want to be hooked? Do you want your mother to be hooked? Or somebody you love? Do you want your mother or a friend to be closed? Do you want to be closed? Do you want me to close you? Who wants to be pitched, hooked, or closed? Now, instead, I think what happens is we want to open listening of people. And by the way, I Tony Robbins stage 18 times. I've broken every sales record there. I've revamped jury verdict consulting processes. I've raised more money in rooms that people raise $14,000, raise $2.6 million, not because I'm more talented, because I have a skill set like playing ping pong. My skill set just has a little bit more application to capitalist structure. Like, I could be a great ping pong player. I'm not. But instead, it's how do you make this happen? So integrous influence, what integrous influence is about the opening of listening, opening the heart and mind, right? It's about pull energy, not push energy. It's about forming agreements, not about closing. And what it's also about is influence itself is icky. It's like sticky, it's yucky, it's chasey. But integrous influence feels lighter. It's more fun. It's more magical. And of course, it's much more abundant. And influence itself is much more arduous. So the takeaway is, what if you're here to create your own platform? And what if we're here to actually figure out how to add massively more value to people? And what if the greatest value every one of us could provide here is saying what Oprah Winfrey said is the reason she is a multi-billionaire? I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters to me. And what if the greatest gift at Deal Flow we could each give each other is a deeper and more profound level of listening? And from that place, integrous influence begins. We have some value-added giveaways in the last 2 minutes we have, right? There's zero push energy to this, but there's all desire to add value and build a lifelong relationship, because we said a lot in a very short period of time. So if you click the link, like do the link on your phone, 3 books, Ecosystem Merging, Influence, and Group Influence. How do you cause yes individually? How do you speak on the biggest stages in the world and cause acceleration in a duplicatable model, not stories? Skill set, like hitting a baseball or singing a note in a song. And how do you ecosystem merge? Like, what is it that you actually are looking for to merge with? And what are the 7 levers of massive acceleration that people create, not in tips, but in a plumbing system, an architecture of how Amazon was built, a law firm is built, an accounting firm is built, an investment banking business is built, whatever those things are. We have a course for it. We have acceleration sessions that for anybody that clicks that link and does it. We can't provide more value to you unless that happens. And final value is we have a show with Andrew Cattaneo now called The Heart of Influence. And if you want to meet other cool people that are looking to raise capital, that are looking to do business, you're welcome if you're in this room and at Deal Flow as guests on our show. And I'm grateful. And my final message is this, my final message, right? While you're here, in addition to meeting people and connecting, what if you really took stock of the amazing skill sets you have, and you took that stock and you thought about, like, what is my real mission, vision, purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing, and moving it deeper into your heart and soul than it's ever been before? And then beginning to think about, how do I build my own platform? Like, that guy's blind. I don't know, put a few words together. I could do that. I could build something just like that. And when I saw what Tony Robbins was doing and Oprah Winfrey, I said the exact same thing. And it works, and it's available, and it's real, and it's a lot more fun because you get to help a lot more people and serve a lot more people. So thank you. I wish you all of the most optimal outcomes for you, whether it's like swiping right and meeting somebody cool. I don't think that's why most of you are here, or it's raising capital, or it's literally serving people and mentoring them and teaching them from your heart how they can achieve the success that you've achieved. Because every single person here is tremendously successful by definition of being in this space. And you're also people who are masterful because you showed up. You committed to more. And there's 1,000 people registered. There's a lot less than 1,000 people in this room. And if you're in this room, it means you're already ahead. You're ahead on that curve of achieving the outcomes you seek. And that makes us kindred spirits. Because if I was here, I'd be like you and I'd be sitting here. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. And for every one of us, let no one love your dreams more than you do. And may you go forward in March to build the mission, vision, purpose of your dreams with the money, time, and magic that makes sense for you, your family, your loved ones. I'm Sean Callagy. I thank you. Have a great day.